You ever wonder what the best race for every class is in EverQuest 2 Origins? Well, stay tuned and we'll tell you everything you need to know. We left out a lot of the vision skills as they're only visual and don't do much. Some of them will allow you to see invisible. Also, we left out the invisibility skill that many races get because it brutes you and is not very useful. This guide also does not cover any skills that have to do with trait skill. Your race will have the same base stats regardless of your class. Some classes will add their own stats like Shadow Knight, where the power goes up by 3 points without the strength changing. Therefore, we based all of our calculations on Guardian because it can be used by all races. First up are Dark Elves. Dark Elves are the Tyrdal and hail from Nereak before it was lost. Wrath of the Tyrdal has a 20% chance to do scaling divine damage when you're hit. They have a 3% power increase that scales as your power increases. 5 agility for extra avoidance, out of combat power regen with a bit of arcane resistance as a bonus, 5 extra intelligence, and a scaling self ward. They have low strength and stamina with moderate agility and wisdom and a high intelligence. While their racial abilities say tank, they would excel at scout, priest, and mage. Next up, we have the Iksar. The Iksar from Kunark can generally consider themselves the master race. Sublician Strike does damage on hit, Proficient Swimmer allows you to breathe underwater, Tough Scales increases your damage by 5, Green Mist Salvation increases your mitigation versus Noxious by a scaling amount, Natural Regeneration increases your strength and agility, and healing while out of combat, and Home Body increases your agility passively, while their stats are not high in a particular category. Iksar can do anything, but they're not predisposed to doing anything well. Next up we have Ogres. Ogres are from Ogok and nearly took over all of Norath at one time. They had a curse that made them stupid, but when the gods left, it was removed. Tough and Hide increases your defense. War Ready increases your max health by a percentage. Battle Rest is an out of combat heal and strength. Relocian Conditioning increases your stamina. Blessing of Ralos increases your strength. Battlefield Command increases the defense of someone else or yourself. Marduk's Tactics does damage when you hit. Lifted Curse adds intelligence. Ogres has high strength and stamina with low agility, intelligence, and wisdom. Ogres are generally great as tanks, but you'll have to make up for the low agility. Next up are Trolls. Trolls hail from the Inithal Swamp and are generally known for eating the other races. Brutal Barshings does damage on hit. Maniacal Madness increases your power by your power. Swamp Breath allows you to breathe underwater. Natural Regeneration is a heal out of combat, increasing your strength and stamina. Resilience increases your stamina passively. Bog Bully increases your strength passively. Gift of Inithal increases your Noxious resistance. Trolls have high strength and stamina with medium agility and wisdom and low intelligence. Trolls have high stats and good skills, generally making them the best tanks for the evil side. Now for the neutral races. Starting with the Barbarians. Barbarians are a hardy people. They're from Hallis, the city that was lost during the Shattering. They have Cold Retribution that does damage on hit. War Wounds is an out-of-combat heal and increases your stamina. Blood of Hallis increases your mitigation versus elemental damage. Strong Jawed increases your mitigation versus physical damage. Remembrance of Hallis increases your defense. And Strength of the North increases your strength. Barbarians have generally good strength, agility, and stamina, with low intelligence and medium wisdom. Barbarians are pretty decent as tanks, but they could also be scouts. And one of my favorite races, Ratonga. The Ratonga were made by a combination of Brel and Bristlebank. They're known for their curious speech, and they like shiny things. Pitiful Plea is a hate drop. Swift Scurry increases your defense and parry. Increased Immunities increases your defense against Noxious. Filth Forge is out of combat health regen and increases your agility. Toxic Tolerance increases your resistance to Noxious. Rodent Reflexes increases your agility. And Dark Agenda makes you do damage on hit. Ratonga have great agility and intelligence and also decent wisdom. They have low strength and stamina. Ratonga are great as scouts but also casters. You will have to make up for the strength on scouts. Next up we have Erudites. Erudites are either from Eredin or Painil. Their main focus as a culture is study. Path of Learning gives intelligence. Infusion does damage when you're hit. Knowledge of the Ether gives mitigation versus arcane. Trained Mind also gives mitigation versus arcane. Ethereal Absorption gives an out-of-combat power regen and intelligence boost. Erud's Teaching gives a permanent increase to intelligence and max power by a percentage of your power. Word of Glyphs gives you a self-ward. Erudites have huge intelligence and wisdom, but low agility, strength, and stamina. Erudites are natural mages, but they could also excel as priests. And now for humans. Humans are the most common race in all of Norath. They also had the 2 cities hurt the least by the shattering. Since then, they have opened their doors to the other races. Environmental adaptability cold increases your mitigation versus elemental. Domination does damage on hit. Physical adaptability increases your defense. Environmental adaptability heat increases your mitigation versus elemental. Determination increases your power by your power. 10 wounds is an out of combat heal. Perseverance increases your stamina. Leadership increases the defense of yourself or someone else. Humans have medium stats on everything. Humans will do fine at any class, but they're not racially inclined for any of them. Now for the Kerra, the cat people. The Kerra originated on the moon Luckland before it was destroyed. Warm fur increases mitigation to elemental damage. Fleetness of foot increases agility. Hunter's instinct increases stealth or invisible movement. Commune with the spirit increases your power regen out of combat and increases wisdom. Astral protection increases mitigation versus arcane. Unsheathed claws does damage on hit. And spiritual enlightenment increases your wisdom. Kerra have medium to low stats on everything with a slight tendency towards agility and strength. Even though they have mid stats, they have great scout skills. They would excel at being a scout. Next up, the Gnomes. Gnomes are extremely intelligent and known for their inventions. Confusing Babble is a hate drop. Sniffle Stopper is a mitigation versus noxious. Gnomish Improvements does damage on hit. Achenon Innovation gives you intelligence. Singed Eyebrows gives you mitigation versus elemental. Flash of Insight gives you a max power by your power. Power Surge increases your power regen out of combat and gives you agility. Gnomes have high agility and intelligence with decent wisdom and low stamina and strength. Gnomes would make great mages or scouts with great DPS skills. Next up, we got the Half-Elves. Half-Elves are the union between elves and humans, and they don't really fit into either group. Tentative Attack of Chiz gives mitigation versus arcane. 10 Wound gives strength and out-of-combat health regen. Dual Breed gives strength and stamina and max power as a passive. Elven Reflexes gives agility as a passive. Perseverance gives stamina as a passive. Sinister Cunning gives intelligence as a passive. And Aerodol Assault does damage on hit. Half-Elves have high agility and fairly medium on everything else. Half-Elves can do just about anything. They're slightly inclined to scouts, but they're proficient at any class. Now, for the good races. We'll start off with Dwarves. Dwarves were made by Brel and originally come from the Underfoot. They have a fascination with mining and like gems. Stormhammer does damage on hit. Fortitude of Caladim increases your defense. Endurance increases your stamina. Hardy Constitution increases your resistance to noxious. Spell Shrug increases your resistance to arcane. Butcher Block Body increases your strength and is a heal outside of combat. Brel's Blessing increases your health by your health. Dwarves have high stamina and wisdom with medium strength and low intelligence and agility. Dwarves would make good tanks but also priests. Next up is Halflings. Halflings are a small race with a great personality, and they love Jum Jum. Distracting Hoax is a threat drop. Lunchtime is agility increase and health regen out of combat. Protection of the Lucky Cabbage is a ward. Light on the Feet increases defense and parry. Mischief Maker does damage on hit. Jum Jum Regiment increases your health by your health. Halflings have high agility, medium wisdom, and low other stats. Halflings are basically just scouts, but they could be priests. Next up are the High Elves. High Elves are a bit arrogant and they come from Caladim. They consider themselves the stewards of Norath, though after the shattering they were forced to move to Kinos. Firiona's Zeal does damage on hit. Tenet of the Tactics does arcane mitigation. Elven Reflexes increases agility. Strength of the Coat of Doll increases max power by your power. Graceful Movement increases defense and parry. Apperception increases your intelligence. And Gift of Tanar increases your wisdom. Harmonious Mind increases your power regen out of combat and also your wisdom. High Elves have a lot of wisdom, medium agility and intelligence, and low strength and stamina. While they could be scouts and mages, they are the best for priests. Next up are the Froglocks. Froglocks are also from the Inithal Swamp and were created by Nathaniel Marr. This skill is unique to Froglocks and will teleport them away while dropping hate and stunning their enemies. Natural Acrobat will increase their agility. Amphibious Adaptation increases their elemental resist. Equalized Temperature dispels elemental hostile effects. Spontaneous Metamorphosis increases your health by your health and increases mitigation to physical. Swamp Denizen dispels noxious hostile effects. Gills allows you to breathe underwater. Cutaneous Neurotoxin roots enemies that hit you and does poison damage over time on them, but only lasts for 30 seconds and the recast is 30 minutes. Froglocks have higher agility and medium stats in everything but strength. Froglocks make great scouts but can be reasonable at almost anything. They have the most utility of the racial skills. Next up are the Wood Elves. Wood Elves lived in the tree city of Fellowith. They are fun-loving and very close to nature. Vitality of the Fear Doll increases your power by your power. Forge increases your stamina and out-of-combat health regen. Elven Reflexes increases your agility. Tanar's Footsteps increases the stealth or invisible movement speed by percentage. Wind Warrior increases your defense and parry. Herbal Protection increases your mitigation versus noxious. Precision Combat does damage on hit. Wood Elves have high agility and medium wisdom with low other stats. While Wood Elves can be priests, they're generally great scouts.